Quassi's Bell Tower with your host, Quassi. And today we're going to make Portcullis or Portcullis. Well, whatever. They're just called steel gates, basically, is all they are. And here they are. So let's get to it. Okay, guys. In the middle of editing this video, I realized that there was a clip or two that was missing. So I'm going to have to do those again and then add them in and then put the whole thing together. Okay, so what you're going to need for this to make the fence or the portcullis or portcullis, whatever you want, you're going to need some of these skinny sticks. You can get these at most craft stores. I get most of my stuff at Walmart, so if you want to go to Walmart in their craft department, they got it. So what I did is I took one of the skinny sticks, make sure you find a good one that's not warped or anything else, try to find the best one you can, and you're going to measure out a 1 1/4 and then another 1 1/4 and then 2 1/4. So those little part with the X's here, they're just scrap. And then for each hole, it's every 1/4 inch on these two pieces here. Now when you get to the bigger piece, we're going to start your first mark at 3/4 inch and then go 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, and then you have 3 1/4 inches left over here. So that's that. You're going to need these sandwich skewers or sandwich spiked things. And they run roughly about 3.5 inches long. I'll put up a site on them, or I'll put up a page for you guys so you guys can order some. It might be a site where you have to get like 10,000 of them, but if you're going to be making these fences, it's definitely worth it. And it's only like $9 for like 10,000 of them. Usually if you find something with like 100 of them, they want like $9 just for like 100 of them or something. So what we're going to do also is you're going to measure from the tip to about 2.5, or it's going to be exactly 2.5, sorry. Mark it, and then you'll cut off the excess piece. You won't need this part with the little circles on it. And they all have to be 2.5 inches long. Okay, and then you're going to, if you don't have one of these, this is a mini crafting like drill bit. You can get this at any craft store. I think I got mine at Hobby Lobby. Now the thing is, the drill bits, I don't think they come with decent size ones that are small or the right size. I think this is like a 532 drill bit. I could be wrong, so you might have to find some small drill bits, probably in a hardware department or something, and see if you can find some small ones. Because you're going to need to drill out these holes and you don't want to make them too big. So that's that. So we're going to go ahead and cut these all out and then get ready to start assembling it. Okay, so I got my pieces cut out here, and all I'm going to do now is slowly drill a hole right here in the dot that I did. Of course, you want to make sure your dots is as centered as you possibly can too. And you're just going to take this and just drill a hole in each one of these as careful and slowly as you can. Yes, I know my finger's right there, but I've been doing this for a while, so I'm not worried about cutting or poking myself. If you just go back and forth like this, it will drill through, and you'll actually feel it kind of coming through the wood, so you'll be prepared for it, and then you can just drill it the rest of the way. So you'll do that to all of them, okay? And then when you get all 4 of your holes drilled out, you'll take some light sandpaper, probably some 220. Yeah, 220 will work good. And you'll just sand this down a little bit on the sides here so you can get rid of all the splinters and stuff. You might have to push the drill bit back through and just kind of get rid of any of them that got pushed back in. And that'll be it. And then eventually, not now, but eventually when we put this all together, we'll have to sand down the edges a bit so it fits in there good. It's not that it's too snug. You want it to be loose in this project that we'll be doing. So I'm going to go ahead and drill the rest of these out. I will also cut these, like I said, at 2.5 inches in length, and then we'll go ahead and assemble it, and I'll show you how that's done. Okay guys, so I have all my pieces drilled out and cut to the right sizes. Now, I will let you know when you're drilling out these holes, you want to be careful with that drill. Don't press it through too fast, and whatever you do, do not use an electric drill because you'll just tear this apart. When pushing through, just like I said, when you're drilling the hole, just go back and forth really slowly. It will go. I was pushing a little too hard on one of them, This wood's very thin, so it did split and I had to make a whole new one, so that kind of slowed me down a little bit. But it can be done, and I have done it before, as you see from the other two that I have made. So we'll go ahead and assemble this, and you're just gonna put one of these through the hole and then the other one to the other one. We'll space them after we get this all assembled and put together. So just push them through the hole. And then we'll just use some super glue to keep these in place from moving after we set them to the measurements we need to be set at. This doesn't take long. This is a pretty easy project, honestly. I've seen some other people on Facebook actually take my design here and when I did the Gothic fence and make their own fences, which was really awesome that they did that, and also gave me props for it. So that was nice of them. So basically, this will go at the very top and we'll glue that. You'll want to make sure you got everything as straight as possible. Oh, one of these just popped out on me. Just pop it back in. Oh, look, they all popped out. So you will have to probably mess around with this a bit, but it can be done. Right now it's just giving me a heck of a time. The measurements I used for it, if I can find, oh, there's your ruler, dumbass, is basically, I think I did, yeah, 1/2 inch from the end here to here, and then I went from here to there, 1.5 inches, and then of course the very top. And then once you get them in position, you just take a little bit of super glue, just dab it here, dab it there, dab it there. Same thing with this one, and then this one here. Make sure you line them all up and just let it sit there and let it dry. It might have a little bend in it, like your holes might be off. If you see this has got like a bend going that way and a bend kind of going that way, but I think it gives it more of a unique look. So that works just like that, just fine. So you go ahead, Jesus, and put your fencing together. What did I say that was? 1/2 inch? 1/2 inch. Just mess around with it till you get it the way you like. If you want, you could glue the top pieces on first, just to hold the other, from keeping this all moving around. That probably would be your best bet. One thing you do want to do is make sure that your arrows on this, if possible, are all facing the same way so it looks good. With the other two fences, I didn't do that. Wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these tops on first. Make sure they're pretty lined up, and they are. I'll go ahead and glue them. That's probably about, just by looking at that, that's probably 1/2, yeah, a little more than 1/2, but you know, you just mess with it a little bit. Make sure you get it exactly the way you want it before you glue it, and it'll basically come out just like that. So I think that's probably about right. That's probably about 1 inch and yeah, see, that's about pretty good. So I got that set up just like that, guys. And all you gotta do is dab some glue here, 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 boom. And you're good. And then you can go ahead and prime it, and then mix some black and silver, and then give it a little metallic look to it. And then if you want, you take some of that Minwax polyurethane spray and spray it on there to help seal it. If you want, you can just use a clear coat of something if you want. I'm just going to use the Minwax because I use it for a lot of my other stuff. And that'll be it, guys. And then we can move on to the next step. Okay, guys, so now we're going to work on making the walls for the Portcullis or metal gate, whatever you want to call it. Just in the middle of this recording, my overhead light that I have in the garage, one of them, decided to shit the bed. So now my lighting is shot. So I'm using another light, it'll have to do. So sorry if it's a little dark when you guys are watching this. And this new tool I'm using over here is from shiftinglands.com. You can get one of these. Now, if anybody has one of these and they're paying attention, they'll realize that I actually have put this together kind of backwards. There's a handle over on this side here, and it should be over here on this side. I had to make a couple modifications to it because, you know, I don't read directions and I don't look at things. I just put stuff together, and that is why you should read instructions sometimes, to make sure you got it done before you put it together. So moving on anyways, we need to make these walls 1/8 thick. So I'm going to go ahead and line that up. That should do it. I can put a paper towel in this area over here, in this corner over here. There's a little, like a stick in here, and that tightens it up. But actually, it's pretty tight on its own, so I'm just going to leave it where it is. I'm not running any real big pieces through it. So we'll go ahead and do that real quick. Okay, guys. So I'm just going to use a scrap piece here, and we're just going to run this through. I'm going to set it to 3 and see how that does. So now I got 2 nice 1/8 inch thick pieces. I will cut them down to size in just a second. We'll get back to that in a minute. Okay guys, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this at a lower setting. I'm going to set it at, let's go 2. Probably could go a little less. I make my measurement at a 2.5 already, so I'm going to go ahead and cut that piece right off. And then I'll just do another one with this scrap piece here. So there's our 2.5 pieces for their heights. I'll just cut this to a 2.5 or 2 inches wide. Okay, now I'm gonna just go and set this up at 2 inches. And we'll try to push this through as nice and neat as I can without making a mistake. Okay, there's one piece. And there's 2 pieces. The tricky part now is going to be to cut the other little square inside. So we'll do that next. Okay guys, well silly me, I didn't make a mistake, but I did make a little error, and I probably could have made this easier. I could have done this at a, what do I got this out? An 1/8 of an inch, and an 1/8 of an inch is a 1/4 of an inch thick. I could have just done a 1/4 inch board and then cut it out 2.5 by 2 inches and then split those at 1/8 that way, which it probably would have been made it easier, because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go a 1/2 inch in here and go this way, and then a 1/2 inch this way, put a line here, and then a 1/2 inch here. Basically I have to use the cutter to cut like this, stop it, turn it, go this way, stop it, turn it, and go this way. Now it would have been easier if it was a whole 1/4 inch piece instead of 2 1/8 pieces, because they are probably going to move on me, and I'm going to have to try to keep them together while I do that. It would have been easier to do it that way and then cut them down to 1/8 thickness. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back with you guys. Okay guys, so I'm going to measure this out to a 1/4 of an inch, and then I will tighten this in with the paper towel. That will hold that in place. I'll move that like that, so it won't move on me when I'm doing this, because I should have done that in the beginning. I know I didn't make any big mistakes, but it could have happened. Okay, 1/4 of an inch, there we go. Got that bad boy in place. It should not go anywhere now. And we will use a scrap piece. And we'll put my setting at, yeah, let's go 3 just to be on the safe side. Okay guys, so I'm going to set this up to 3/8 now to do the inside part of those pillars. Okay, and those were those pieces. Now we're going to cut this down a little bit smaller. Actually, I know I just cut 2 pieces, but I can probably use just this one piece to do these pillars. Or do these inside pieces of the wall, sorry guys. Okay, so now these should fit just like those, which looks like they will. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, so now we gotta cut these down to less than 2.5 inches long, and they are gonna go to 2 and 3/8 with the length of these. Pop back out. Trying to do this as careful as I can. Go, there's one piece. And there's 2 pieces. So those are now done. So those and the walls are done. We can go ahead and do our brick design on that, which we will work on next. Okay guys, so what I'm going to do now is I am going to take these walls and I am going to measure up a 1/4 inch and mark them every 1/4 inch. And then I will do that on both of them. Yeah, my lighting here, hopefully it looks good to you guys, but my lighting here is really bad with that light being out, and it's really putting a strain on my eyes. Now this stuff is very thin, so you want to be careful when you're making your lines. We are going to have to make them a little deeper, but first get your line started, and then we will go over it with another tool, or we'll use the X-Acto knife or box cutter or whatever you want to use, and make a little score in there, and then go through with the pen again or with an owl to make the cuts a little deeper, but not too much deeper, because you don't want to cut through this material. Remember, it's only 1/8 of an inch, so it's not very thick. And then I will do the same thing on the other one. And on this, what we'll do is probably like, let's see, this is a 1/2 inch now. Maybe every 1/8 going here and going here opposite of each other will make a mark to indicate more brickwork. So I'll do this one, and then I'll come back and show you the rest, because I'll do this one while you guys are waiting. Okay guys, I got all my bricks done, all my brickwork done. Now I want to let you know that you have to be very careful doing this, because if not, you're going to break it. Luckily I didn't, but it's very, very fragile. I mean, you're only working with 1/8 of a foam material, so you have to be very careful with it. So I got all my edges done on pretty much every single one. I see a few I need to touch up on here, but every little brick is done. So that's it. And then we're going to take these pieces here that we cut out earlier, and we will glue them to the edge, or to the bottom corner, off to the sides. Hopefully you guys can see this. We're just going to glue this to one of them. Okay? So there'll be a little bit of a lip right here, if you guys can see that. There's like a little lip of the wall. And that's what you're going to need for when you do this piece here. This will basically sit in here like this. And that will sit on there. It'll all work out. We might have to do some sanding on the tongue depressors or the skinny sticks there, but that'll be no big deal. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this. Yeah, I guess you could use super glue or regular PVA glue or whatever you want. And then we will take this and prime it in Mod Podge with black paint. We have to make this as strong as we can so it doesn't break on you. And then we will also be using the Midwax polyurethane spray to help strengthen it some more. So I'm going to go ahead and glue these on, and then we'll get to priming it. Okay, now guys, I have these actually painted, and I have them washed in black wash. So that's been done. It'll be a little bit darker once I put the Midwax polyurethane on it. I think I made these bricks here that look a little more orange, a little bit darker. As you can see, this is the original piece here, and you can see that some of these bricks are a little bit darker. But you can paint it in any color you want. So that's that. So what I'm going to do now is, now that I fixed this piece for the fence, is I am going to go ahead and sand some of this down just gently, just a little bit along the edges here. I noticed it was kind of a tight fit when I put this in here. Not too bad. Actually, it's kind of loose anyways, it looks like it, but I'm going to sand it down just a little bit, just to be on the safe side, because you're going to have to coat it in some paint. So I'm going to go ahead and spray this in black spray paint to prime it, and then I will touch it up with some black and some silver to give it more of a metal look. And then I will, before I glue these two pieces together, I will test fit it again and make sure it fits good, it slides good, and then that'll be it. One more thing I want to show you before I forget, and before we glue all this together and we put the fencing in, make sure you get your base ready. So what I'm using here is just the jumbo stick. It's like a tongue depressor. You can get these at Walmart or any crafting stores. So you're just going to set it up at 2 inches, and then cut the end off here, and cut that end off, and then go ahead and prime it and paint it probably like a gray or a dark gray, or whatever color you want your board to be. Well guys, I went ahead and glued this together. All I did is I used some tacky glue, or glue, or you can use regular PVA glue. I used the, what's it called, like Ellen's tacky glue or whatever. You can get it at Walmart or any crafting store. So what I did is I just glued it on, let it dry for a while. It stuck together pretty well. I know I didn't show you how to do it, but you just put a couple dabs and take a brush and kind of spread it along. Keep it away from the edges so it doesn't leak over or anything. You don't need a lot of it. So I got my base here. I'll go ahead and glue this to the base, and then I will put some Midwax polyurethane spray on it. This stuff here, if you don't remember, right here. And then I went ahead and sealed this one too. I put some black and silver, mixed the paint together, or some gunmetal gray, I mean. Mix it under, give it a little shine. And then I put the Midwax on when it was dry. So we're almost done here. I'm just going to put that final coat on after I glue this onto here. and then we'll be almost done, guys. Okay, guys, so there you go. That is the Portcullis steel gate, whatever you want to call it. And if you look here, I got one here, it's closed. And then I got another one here. They both do the same thing, they slide. I just want to show you this one here. So here you go, there's that one slide in there. So I hope you guys liked that video, even though I had video and editing issues. But please, subscribe, comment, and like always, ring that like button like a hunchback. Until next time.